What is
Halloween?
What is Halloween? Is what?
Halloween.
Woohoo! We're getting spooky up in here. So, we're going to talk about some Halloween-related or adjacent episodes in Star Trek right after we do a bunch of news, but only after we introduce ourselves and go around clockwise. I'm Dustin from Best of Trek, Worst of Trek.
Hi, I'm Vanessa, and I host a YouTube channel called I Love Bad Star Trek.
Hello, I'm Ren. I have a YouTube channel, Ren Rants.
I'm Josh, and my YouTube channel is Windgrace.
And Scott from Opinions No One Cares About will be here soon as well. So coming out of the New York Comic Con over the weekend, the first thing I want to look at is these awesome new little action figures that are going to come out starting beginning of next year by the company called Nacelle. And like immediately I want Tuvix. Oh my God. I want Tuvix. I want Wayoon. I basically want the first three on the bottom row there. I want Mirror Archer, Wayoon.
I want the Mirror
these are all
Archer so I
great.
can pretend to be Boimler from last season.
Oh my God. The other one I kind of like is Valkyris, which is just the Klingon agent from the very beginning of Star Trek 3, Search for Spock. You only see her for like a minute and a half before she
It's a
dies.
strange deep cut, you know? Like you'd think like with action figures, you would try to go for I like that they didn't go for the super obvious things, but that's like,
Yeah.
for a character that's only there for like a moment, like why? You know?
I'm wondering if they got it because of the deep cuts. Because there's other companies making like Kirk and Spock and Picard. Maybe they only got the license for deep cuts.
Yeah, I want Captain Garrett. I had the biggest crush on her as a kid.
Nice. I can't wait to see her. I guess we can use that also as a segue here, because one of the other things we got is that Section 31 finally has a date. We're going to get it here in a couple of months, January 24th, 2025, with Rachel Garrett. Can't wait to finally see more of her. And the last thing, kind of in that same vein of like deep cuts, the company Fan Home is kind of picking up where Eagle Moss left off. And all the things they've announced are newer things that Eagle Moss and other companies hadn't put out.
Like I know this is sci-fi and what is even scale, right? But like, is that the Shrike?
Yes, we're gonna get a Shrike.
Oh, hell yeah.
Because like the Shrike is supposed to be enormous. Like the way that they showed it, it's such a strange thing that they show, and they never really take advantage of the heft of this ship and how many guns it had. It was supposed to be like this mega intimidating thing.
Yep.
So I'm surprised that it looks even smaller than the Federation ships.
You're right. It's definitely not to scale with the other ones for sure, because it was way bigger. Because in here is also the Titan. It's the one on the left here, middle left.
Well, they do offer some of the ships at a different scale too. So I guess you might be able to get a bigger, like the XL version, which is a lot more money. But I don't know if the Shrike's coming in that or not.
Yeah, the only ones I saw that I'm interested in are the Shrike and the last one that they announced, which won't be out till spring 2026 if the company makes it that long. The Texas class from Lower Decks.
Oh, they're doing a Protostar too, right?
Yep, they are.
Okay.
That I
And
do
an
want.
Enterprise A.
Which
Voyager
one
A,
is
you mean?
Voyager A.
Yeah. The bottom right, like the
Which
weird...
one's on the bottom? Is that what you asked?
Like the very
the very, very bottom.
I think the
that's
bottom's the
Stargazer.
Stargazer.
The refit from Picard season 2.
Yep.
Ah, okay.
Where
And
they
the
tricked us
Helios
in-
is in the top left from season 3.
Oh, that's
And then
the
just a
Helios.
random Miranda class there on the right.
Oh yeah, the Helios was very small, so they're definitely not to scale.
No.
Okay. Still cool. We still don't know what the Shrike is. So what species built it or anything.
Like it was like this. I mean, the person that was captaining the ship was like a rogue shapeshifter person. So maybe it was one of theirs, but like they don't yeah, that who knows?
No, they don't.
Would have been cool if it was just a giant changeling and just turned into like a Megazord at the end. Starts punching the Titan.
So, just the last thing I wanted to touch on here before we get into the Halloween episodes. Wingrace here, you've got this. I want you, when you are done watching the stream, to go to Wingrace's page. I will put the link in the description when we're done. Also, at Wingrace Project here on YouTube. I think this is the most important poll, the most important thing you could vote on other than the presidential election this year. And that is, which Enterprise character are you most disappointed we didn't get to see in the decon chamber?
Poor Saval.
Admiral Forrest? Really? Really?
I'm voting for Admiral. I voted for Admiral Forrest. I'm looking for that silver fox. The actor has the dirty dozen of different characters that he's portrayed in Trek.
My vote isn't showing up on there because I guess I was signed out at the time, but definitely Soval because
Oh, I think there's more. There's more.
Yeah, I
things
took
that
this way
screenshot.
earlier today.
yeah, because like Soval, like Vulcans during this period are insufferable, and I just wanted him to sort of suffer that little indignity.
Though
Or
I
we
will
could just
say,
have every Jeffrey Combs in there at the same time.
yeah,
The
that sounds like a
question is-
lower decks thing.
The question is, who isn't Jeffrey Combs? Really? Like,
I'm Jeffrey Combs. I was preparing the prize later.
yep.
I was Jeffrey Combs yesterday.
Oh, okay.
We all take turns.
It's like the Thing. We don't actually know.
And yeah, Travis Mayweather. I think Anthony Montgomery would look great in blue light. That dude is jacked.
I'm surprised they never even got him in there like briefly. Reed wasn't in there very often, but at least he was in there once.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Not that Travis did anything in the show after like the 5th episode. But
There was like one episode that focused on him, and that's all we got. Like he's like the like least developed pilot I think we have, besides maybe the Strange New Worlds.
yeah, so far. Hopefully we get more Tagus.
Hashtag Mortegas. All right, so let's get into what we actually signed up for, some Star Trek Halloween. We are going to look at one episode from almost every series. I couldn't find anything in Picard, Disco, or Prodigy, or even really Lower Decks that felt like it was a Halloween episode. Now, there's a few that like have some scary, spooky moments, but nothing that really gets into it. And so we're going to work in reverse chronological order, starting with Strange New Worlds, and we'll end with TOS. We picked Lost in Translation from Strange New Worlds, which is here with like the zombie hammer that Uhura keeps seeing. This episode here on Buffer Time, we ranked this the worst out of all of season 2. We gave it a 5.3 collectively as an average. I went and looked today. I gotta say, after rewatching it, I think I'm much higher than the 4 I originally gave it. It still probably is the worst episode of that season, but I'd give it at least a 5.5 now.
I only caught like the first half of it, and the thing that struck me the most was how unwilling the crew members of the Enterprise were to believe Uhura at first. They were just like, you're hallucinating, deuterium. you know, and it's only after Ahura says, "Hey, I don't actually have that poisoning," that they sort of entertain her thoughts is worth listening to, because other than, it's like they spend a lot of time going, you're just losing it.
Yeah, that is kind of an interesting reaction on a show where, hey, there's something weird going on, usually results in like an alien or something, like 9 out of 10 times.
Yeah, meanwhile, it takes Kirk from another ship to believe her and get any of this solved.
I kind of like Strange New World Kirk. I know that's an unpopular opinion, so I didn't mind him in this episode, and I thought he and
Them's
Uhura were
fighting
really
words.
fun together.
I'll agree. I do. I think out of all of the times we see him, I do like him best in this. Especially, I mean, you can't not like the end where Kirk and Spock meet for the first time. I mean, that at least is something this episode has going for it.
Yeah, that was really
Got the
cute.
whole trio. Well, not the real trio, but an
A trio.
original trio right there. Yeah.
But yeah, I think from now on, I'm always going to think of this Kirk as James R. Kirk, like the tombstone from second episode there.
Might as
Did you
well.
find it satisfying when Ahura punched him in the face? Did
Yeah, a
that?
little bit.
I thought, yeah, it was an interesting way to have her process grief, the loss of her mentor, because in a lot of episodic Trek, even TNG, they were very anti processing anybody's death, no matter how important that person necessarily was. I mean, like even in TNG where you had the weapons officer, the original one, passed away, and after her death in Skin of Evil, you just see Data pull out a drawer with her hologram in it, and that's pretty much it until the actual actress comes back. So it's like, it was nice to actually have an episode have that play out in an emotionally realistic way.
Yeah.
I think that's part of the reason I was down on it the first time, because I felt like they were using Hemmer as a prop to advance Uhura's story and not treating him as his own kind of character. I mean, it works, but I was still salty over losing a potentially very interesting character who we don't know goes on to TOS. So there could have been so much just to fill in and learn about. Plus, it was the only non-human character who didn't look human.
Yeah, I can see that. But I don't know, I kind of agree with Vanessa. I think it worked really well for having her unpack that, because like the loss of Hemmer was something that impacts her personally on a big level. Like he was a pretty major part of her life on the Enterprise, and to lose him so suddenly and so horribly, I think was really like a major kind of turning point for her character in some ways.
Well, I'm glad they addressed it. I'm just mad they did it.
Fair. I love the
Also,
zombie
like,
him too. It's so good.
I would also venture a guess as to, like, you're in a organization that's quasi-military. They're really supposed to be exploring and whatever, but you have to figure out how to process death, and part of like what makes sense of it for somebody is like, what do I learn from this experience, and what do I take away from it? So like, it does seem like it's a prop type of thing, but I think that's a pretty normal way to process death, to try to make sense of it for yourself.
And Norman, we love having you.
No,
We're
no,
saving Cat's Paw for last.
Best for last.
Oh, it's going to be great. I can't wait. I want to make sure we have plenty of time to talk about it. So, yeah. Yeah, as far as this episode and like Halloween and scary stuff, I mean, yeah, like right before you cut to the opening credits, just zombie Hemmer here in the turbo lift, and that just like it's so terrifying. I wouldn't the whole episode isn't I don't think is like the scariest out of even close to what we're going to talk about tonight. But it's definitely it hits some notes better than a lot of the others for sure.
Like seeing somebody zombified
Hot
after
Bell.
you watch them die would be pretty jarring.
Horror yeah, interesting. The
Well,
Inner
it is
Light
kind
as a
of
horror
horrifying
episode.
like, to live a whole life and like have children and grandchildren and a family, and then wake up back on your ship and be like, "Oh yeah, that was just 10 minutes or so. You're good though, right?"
Mhm.
Oh, I mean, I agree. It's my worst fear to wake up as a New Mexico plumber for like 30 years of the last years of my life.
I
Great.
think Bell just hates flutes. He's very anti-flute.
That flute hating Dell.
Anti-flutite. But what about them having real cookies in this episode? That's the scary part. There's not going to be many real cookies in the future.
Well, like Captain Pike cooks often on Strange New Worlds, so there's a lot of like real food being eaten, but like
As long as the replicator cookies are better than grocery store cookies, I'm happy.
Uhura is the true monster here. It is not Zombie Hemmer. Anybody that denounces free cookies, real cookies, not them. I was trying to say not replicated. What is it called on TOS?
Protein
Resequenced. Protein
resynthesized, yeah.
resequenced. Yeah.
where they just have like
Cookies.
the dyed cubes. I love it.
It just dyed sugar cubes. Yep.
With a big old glass
them
of
cookies.
warm milk. Mm.
And the moment Norman's talking about, we're not going to talk about that episode. We might do Night Terrors like next year or something for Halloween. We're only going to do one from each series. But yeah, that is definitely a creepy moment.
Like it's a creepy moment, and there's like good moments in that episode, but I just don't like it. Just don't like the episode. But I do agree that was a creepy part.
Hello, Scott.
Scott.
Hello.
Hello.
We are kind of wrapping up on Lost in Translation from Strange New Worlds.
Oh, it started at the beginning. Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna work backwards, like by release order. We'll end with TOS.
I feel like that's on purpose, but okay.
Oh, it is. It very, very much is. So, if you've got anything to add about that, you had said in chat that like if something about we about charades should have been the worst of season 2.
Yeah. You were saying, oh, I'm echoing. You were saying that we rated this episode the lowest season 2 when we were talking about them, and I'm saying the only reason that is because I apparently like charades way less than you guys did.
But even I looked at that; it's a full 2-point difference. Charades we rated in the 7s. This one was a 5.3. It lost by like a lot. But what I had said at the beginning of this also is that rewatching it, I like it better now than when it first came out, for sure. I would have given it an extra point to 1.5.
We also get a bit of
That's fair.
backstory on Ahura's family in here too.
That is true.
I think that's a valuable part, but I don't know if it makes the episode that much better. I wish that they integrated it in. Like, I don't think it was one of those things where it's like, you can show and you should show and not tell. I actually wish they would tell that Ahura talked about it versus us just watching it.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess.
Okay.
I do
All
like
right.
Amanda.
I just wanted to strangle that family the whole time. And just
That one's not my favorite either. That's probably my second least. And actually, I mean, maybe I do like this one better than Charades. I don't know. I'd have to watch them back to back.
I would say so. Like I ranked the episodes. I know I put this above Charades, as well as I also put it above. What was the first? Episode? The Broken Circle, the first episode of season 2.
Yeah, that one was weird. All right. Do we have
And I
anything? Oh, go ahead.
above Among the Lotus Eaters too. I don't know. I have to go back and look.
Yeah, I think I had an issue with that one too. It was a little disjointed. But
Just a bit. Yeah.
But is it spoopy? Is it scary?
No, one of the most positive things we had actually said when I rewatched our ending about this was that, oh well, this could make a good Halloween episode, and well, here we are.
Right?
Self-fulfilling
does.
prophecy.
A zombie right there.
So speaking of zombies, the next thing on the list, going backwards, is our Enterprise episode, Impulse, where in the Expanse they discover the Vulcan ship that wandered into a Trellium D asteroid field and turned them all into Vulcan zombies. I don't have too many specific things about this.
Zombies.
I barely remember this.
Yeah, this was more, I don't even want to say action-y, but it was more about just the experience and less about an actual story. They just got in and then they had to get out.
I just remember a few things, which are like in the later seasons of Enterprise, the song in the beginning got way more upbeat, which is way out of step with where the show was going. Like it was going decidedly darker. And the time in the Expanse, I think, is what I wanted from Voyager. Like the stakes are high, the need to survive is clear, and they carried that situation through episode after episode. So this was like yet another obstacle, and also the effect of Trellium on T'Pol was significant too.
Yeah.
Because she got that sickness.
That is
Oh yeah.
Yeah, this was a good example of what she should become if she's not careful. And then
Right.
she continued doing it anyway. But
Yep.
Like what they did with the Vulcans in general and Enterprises was really like what TNG did with Klingons, and it just so good. It was really creepy. That episode was really creepy.
Yeah, no, that's not creepy at all, Dal. That's just that's all I'm gonna say about it.
par for the
I
course.
know which episode you're talking about.
Voxala.
That slime thing that they were on.
It's space semen. I mean, let's
course,
be
yeah.
real.
I mean, how many days were they working on it on set? And they're just like, I think we keep going with this. I think this looks good.
That is one of those reasons why when you hear about that there is a product called 55-gallon drum of lube, that's what it's for. It's for weird stuff on sets. And that was one of them. So is this one the most classic horror movie plot in all of the Trek like spooky, scary episodes?
I actually think the Voyager one is more so, where you have like kids around a campfire kind of thing. You know, yeah.
This is more of like a classic horror movie trope of a experience. But yeah, the Voyager one's probably more of an actual like ghost story or I don't know, like an Are You Afraid of the Dark setup type of a thing.
So what goes along with this picture that I have up here, do the frequent amount of lighting sparks in the episode detract from it or enhance the creepy mood? Because like I'm not prone to epileptic, you know the word I'm trying to say here, seizures. But this episode kind of triggers me. It's like, oh my god, there is so much just flashing and strobe effect that it kind of bothers me.
I think the only time it was effective was when it had directly to do with the plot, like the angels, the weeping angels, when you would see like a flash of them and then it would go dark and then a flash of them and they would be in a different position. That's freaking creepy. But like if you're just turning on the strobe to just break up an image, that's just annoying.
Yeah, this felt more like how they would make a haunted house you're actually going in spookier, as opposed to making it a spooky TV show. If you just buy a few lights and flash them and you're like, oh my god, it's so scary, even though it's just a few tarps in a room. So it's probably hiding some details also.
Yeah, I really don't have much about this one for questions. It's a pretty classic zombie thing, and early to mid 2000s had a lot of zombie stuff going on. So like I think they were just trying to follow the trend here.
Do you think the fake out dream worked?
Yeah, I
Where
thought that was
T'Pol's,
weird
like,
for sure.
wakes
Yeah.
up?
Yeah, and then it just like, oh, fake ending, fake dream.
It's like almost like it ran short because it felt like a short episode to begin with. So I wonder if they just put that in there, like, we're close enough now.
I hate that. I hate that plot device so much. It's like, oh, everything that happened didn't matter. Just throw it all in the garbage. I hate that. Might as well not even do it.
Yeah, I thought about the Gorn episode, but where we had all specifically said last year that
the thing about the Gorn episode is more like aliens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they ruined it because they kept showing the Gorn and ruining that suspense. Because what I thought made Aliens amazing, which was that you didn't actually see the aliens, but you just knew that they were killing people, and you would detect them. They would be little blips on the screen, but that's it.
Yeah, they didn't really need them to make the Gorn OP.
Should have done Tholians. That's just my thought.
Yeah, I wonder if we will get that in Strange New Worlds. It'd be really cool to see some more of the Tholians. We've barely touched on the species.
Pretty much every time we see him, it's connected to the same episode.
Yeah.
So, moving backwards on our journey here, now we've got what I thought going into this would be the most interesting Halloween episode, The Haunting of Deck 12. Is Neelix the creepiest part of this episode?
Yeah, but this episode has nothing to do with it.
That's the truth. And Vanessa, you had something on
like,
that.
Seven starts the episode asking him to supervise these children, and then Seven says, "Well, you have a lot of experience supervising kids." And I wondered if that was like a reference to his and Kess's relationship, because Kess was only like, what, 3 years old?
Talking about Naomi Wild.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Oh,
No,
wow.
Let's follow the Kess line of thought a little more, because that
boy.
is creepy.
I thought you were just making a great joke, which isn't even really such a joke when you start thinking about it.
Well, right, because like, I mean, Kess just had that weird, I don't know what did it add to the show to say that her life cycle was like that, like that she matured really fast? Like, what did that add?
Well, I think if she had gone the entire length of the show, what it would have added is showing somebody from basically a teenager to death.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And that could have been kind of interesting, but she got
Couldn't
Rick
have that,
burned.
obviously.
Also could have been interesting in terms of like the perception of time based because like you know how time feels like it moves faster as you get older because like relatively everything's longer, but she's like so young but still has like a more adult brain, so that's kind of weird. But then they did the creepy like born sexy yesterday thing and paired her with Neelix and it just ruined everything so bad.
Then they had to give her her own Ponfar just because.
Yeah, oh my god, they did. Oh.
And it was
Aliens
just
have a
her
sex
eating
drive.
I just
dirt and stuff.
and he also completely disobeys Seven, or sort of goes against her wishes implicitly by telling them a scary story when she specifically did not want to freak them out.
Supervise the kids, keep them from being afraid. Now tell them the scariest story imaginable. Go.
Did I tell you
There-
guys the time the Vidian stole my lung?
Those kids are built Borg tough. They're fine.
Icheb
Except the baby.
got that guy, but like, you know, the other kids, they didn't ask for that shit. And I just didn't understand like why Seven was like, oh, I didn't tell them what was happening. I just felt like withholding this information for no reason. And like some of the stakes, the stakes where they set this scenario up was very strange. Because it's like they're bored kids. They're not, it's like that meme, we're bored kids. We're gonna ask questions. But like it's like it would be really odd for them to just be like, yeah, we're just not gonna pry or ask why the power's out. It's really strange. But yeah, I really enjoyed this episode besides the flaws that it had. I enjoyed as a kid, you know, sitting around a campfire listening to stories. I think that's a very like universal common human thing.
Yeah, I've always enjoyed this episode ever since it first came out. The only thing, does anybody else feel like the story gets over too fast though? Like there should have been just a little bit more here when it's just like, oh well, Janeway makes a deal with the devil.
Yeah, it was a little abrupt.
And then we just cut to, oh well, now we're gonna go help the thing. Okay.
My
Not a good
question
show.
is, what other deals has she cut with the ship to like make it work? Because she looked like she had a very personal relationship with the bridge. Like she's like holding on to it for dear life and just like, listen, just do it as I ask and I'll, you know, whatever it was, whatever.
Well, no matter what, she could never get the replicator in her quarters to do anything, right? Delete the bulkhead.
Why is the bulkhead a wife?
I had to come up with something. I don't know.
I don't know what
Close
that means, but
personal
it's pretty
relationship
funny.
with the ship. I mean,
I just thought it was very brave of Tuvok to go into a Jeffries tube with Neelix. And he's like, and he seemed very like, he seemed unusually understanding of his anxiety at that moment. Because I would lose it. And he's just like, you know, maybe you need to focus on other things, and even like try to guide him with some meditation practices and stuff. But
Very good friend, despite not wanting to be.
wow.
I think my favorite part of the episode was how Neelix summarized literally all of Star Trek when he like said some random technobabble and the Borg kids are like, that's not right. And he's like, the technical details don't matter.
You're missing the point.
I
And
like
we
how
get-
they even threw in the sort of like, oh, come on, kids, are you going to let me tell the story, or are you going to, you know, it felt very organic and real in those moments.
It did. And hey, we got that one lightning effect, you know, the one that they used like 1,000 times from TNG all the way through.
Zapped.
Yeah, right.
They have Palpatine in those controls.
I feel like, Federation really needs to get on top of the ongoing safety issue of consoles randomly exploding in people's faces.
Those
Like,
fucking rocks,
Oh,
man.
come
Why
on,
are
they
there
only have
rocks
some
everywhere?
At least they got rid of the flamethrowers before TOS era.
Oh my
They
god.
Those
brought
were
him
only
back
a
for
discovery issue. Well, that was before. Then they jumped to the future and they're like, we need to bring back the flamethrowers.
Like,
That's why
I
the burn
didn't-
happened. You got
I
rid of
guess
They
them.
didn't
storytelling.
show up until they went and got the refit.
Wait,
I don't
we
think.
Oh,
I
did-
understand.
Really? Okay.
Machines.
I understand what's trying to be accomplished, like storytelling wise, because you want to visually show, like, okay, this is, bad things are happening on the ship, but I think they overplay their hand sometimes, and I think this is one of those examples where it's like, it's not just a little zap, it's like his whole body is convulsing.
I always love when the alternate universes when it actually kills someone important. I think Riker's died that way a couple times. Rachel Garrett, we talked about earlier.
Yeah, I noticed that in this watch through. I had just done a full watch through of Voyager this year, and like I was like, oh yeah, we get that chick from the Good Shepherd episode back for just a scene.
Oh, is she the scared one in the corridor?
Yeah, when like Seven comes
Okay.
up to her, she's like doing some maintenance and
it's always wild when you see a recurring side character on Voyager because you're like, oh, I'm sorry, I thought this ship of 150 was populated with thousands of random extras. Amazing.
Continuity.
You're someone we know.
And what season is this? Season 5, right?
6. It's the penultimate episode of season 6.
Okay,
Oh.
so it's like, how many crew members can they have left, really? If they have they're not in Federation space at all.
Well, we got an influx of 4 from Equinox.
That's
Add
4.
Maybe. My favorite was when they had that one episode with Harry and the girl who liked skating, and he'd go skating because he didn't like the cold, even though he didn't like the cold. And we're like, who are you? Random girl who's apparently been part of Harry's life for all these episodes, but we never once saw it. Who are you?
Lindsay Ballard. Everybody knows Lindsay Ballard.
I thought that
Who should have been that other girl that the doctor tried to save? But
Yes,
that's
that's
just another girl.
Yeah,
it
I
should have
thought
been
the first time I saw it, I thought that was the same
we
chick.
already saw die, and then I would have been like, okay, you can expand on that and I'll retcon it and it's fine. But no, I even went back and checked the actors. It was never been on Voyager before, completely new person, and you're just like, okay.
I think what's happening is during the night shift, there's a regular replenishment of personnel, and they just go to M-class planets and just kidnap people. That's my theory.
You go around with like little recruitment signs.
They're
Not even
reverse
that, they
tuvixing
can
the
people
crew.
aboard and take off. Like,
24th century press gangs.
You're going to the Federation now, and you will like it, and you will espouse our values. Damn it!
they
We
did it
saw
with
fake Tuvok got really in love with the Federation, so
Oh,
maybe
that's
we
true.
do want to live fast and prosper, guy.
Yeah, I feel like he's now a member of the crew that you don't see. He's just down on deck 15 with the guys that like transfer power and shit.
Just having a time.
Well, all those people in the fake recreation of the future Doctor in that timeline, they were just collecting people. There was a Kazon, there was a Borg fighting force. That's how it should have been. Just Amelia Earhart should have been like third officer.
Oh,
I was always disappointed that she didn't go with them.
That would have been so good. And then she and Tom could have like fought over like pilot stuff. It would have been fantastic.
Why would you want somebody who's most famous for crashing to fly your
We
ship?
don't know that she crashed. She got taken by aliens, man.
They let Troy fly more than
The
once.
likelihood of that happening again was minimal.
She got
I
eaten
wanna
by coconut crabs after crashing.
I wanna see
You probably steer away from a planet in time.
I want to see the version of the episode Alice with Amelia Earhart and Alice, and they like
Okay, I would
They
love
bond.
that. I want that now.
That would have made a much better episode, I think.
That would have been
than how
amazing.
it played out, Tom.
I would
All right,
actually.
we have got to move on here, though. Our next episode, going backwards, is Empok Nor, which after rewatching all of these, I thought it was going to be The Haunting at Deck 12 for me is the best one, but nope, it's definitely Empok Nor.
There's
That's
some
fair.
load-bearing
Good
stuff, even if it's sort of like not directly related to the progress of the show. There's definitely character development going on here, and that's what I love about DS9, where it's like even a Ferengi episode, there's something going on with a character that matters.
Yeah, we got to see more of the O'Brien tale, see him actually come out of his I don't want to say goofy shell, but his more bumbling shell and become the badass that he was touted to be before the show started.
He's definitely more at home as a soldier than anything else. He's suffering less when others are suffering around him.
Yes, that.
And what I found interesting was like Garrick in the beginning when they were flying to Empok Nor, he was provoking him. He was provoking O'Brien, saying, "Hey, remember when you killed a bunch of me?" Like, it was really awkward because it's like it's true, but you know, it was war and it was different. But at the same time, it's like you were specifically sent to kill people that looked exactly like me, justified or not. That's pretty heavy. Let's, you know, have a game. And then after he got drugged, he basically had that same impulse just amplified.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's almost like they introduced it early just so he would be focusing on it when the drugs hit.
I could not agree less, though, Norman. No, this is definitely one of the best Garrick episodes. It's either this or The Wire. I was about to say, like, it's when Garrick is not in control of himself that he's at his best. Andrew Robinson just gets to play in the set and just shoot the goddamn scenery, and I love it.
And I also like the pairing here. As much as I love Garrick and Bashir, you know, it was nice, and even Garrick and Odo in those couple of times. It was nice to not feel the urge that they needed to have Bashir here also to play against, to give him Noggin, to give him O'Brien, and then people that apparently don't need names because they're not lasting long. But Bully and Guy.
Realistic if they send you on missions with your board.
I honestly think the only person that's truly comfortable with the soldier role was Nog. I actually saw O'Brien trying his best to avoid having to step into that, especially with Garrick. I do think he respects Garrick, but he realized like we have no choice anymore after, you know, a few people were killed
by Garrick.
And it's something DS9 did a few times. They made characters that sort of became comfortable and then they pulled it back a little. Like they did that the season they tried to make Dukat a hero. And then like, wait, everyone's liking Dukat. We got to change that. So it is nice to see.
Like, it was like what I love about DS9 is like everybody's moral alignment is very elastic. And I think with Dukat, it was clear that he had a vendetta in mind. He had a goal in mind. It wasn't just, being liked was important to him, but he had bigger plans. Nog was great in here. I loved when he was like doing his little rounds, but he did miss that one corner where that one Cardassian was hiding. So it's like he has some holes in his training, but
well, what are you gonna do?
When he has such a good arc. I mean, most characters in DS9 have a good arc, but I mean, if you watch the first couple of episodes with him, yeah,
for sure, of maybe any Trek character.
Yeah, I agree with Norman. Nog was still in Starfleet training. Okay, so that makes sense. And yeah, I do agree that this was like a slasher thing.
And I even liked the way they reused the sets they had, which can sometimes feel cheap, but it actually kind
That
of
was
really,
a thing
really
that
worked here.
DS9 did well, especially in those last 2 seasons. Almost everywhere that they go is either like, oh, we're gonna go on the Valiant. Oh, we get to use the Defiant set. Oh, it's Empok Nor. Oh, we turned it sideways and turned the lights down. Okay.
Like it's a
They went on
bottle shell,
Voyager
but
once
it
too.
they didn't like hit you over the head with it. Nope, that place was a mess.
Mhm.
And it kind of reminded me of like when they first arrived at DS9 to sort of refit it. That was like a big thing in season 1 was trying to fix everything.
And
It's
they had
not
the memory to reuse it, which
Yeah.
normally doesn't happen. They're like, oh, Empok Nor's a thing. Let's use it again in season 7.
it's not Voyager, it's the Bellerophon.
They're so similar.
Where the
Where
Pa Rates thing.
They hid
took place.
Neelix's kitchen really quick.
A set so similar that Cisco went to the mirror universe and oh, DS9 was designed by the same, or your DS9 was designed by the same Cardassian, so I can blow this place up.
That's never made sense to me whatsoever. Like, why would you not change the code? And if Cisco could change the code, why would nobody have changed the code over the years? Like I can understand if it was like a code that couldn't be changed. It's like a master backdoor code, and like that's what Cisco's using. But if he can change it, then why would nobody, especially in the mirror universe, have changed it?
So
anyway?
like I guess they must have cleared out that gas because like Norman said, it became the cult place. That's where Ducat started that Pa Rates
Yep.
thing.
Just going all Jim Jones over there on Empok Nor.
Yeah, and like it's like, listen, Ducat, you have to like have a much bigger cult before you start impregnating people and like throwing the cult off the scent that it's your kid. You can't just like you have like 5 people there, dude.
It is so.
And the fact that he didn't even have a lie ready when he saw the kid. He's like, oh crap, it's a sign. Come on, man. You should have thought about this for 9 months.
Yeah. What was what did everybody think of that like experiment they set up where they had the frozen Cardassians there, like just waiting?
Oh yeah, the soldiers left behind or whatever.
Mhm.
I guess it kind of tied into the drug or whatever from The Wire. Was that a drug or was that like an implant?
That was an
It was an
implant.
implant.
There was an implant. Okay, so it makes sense and it's in keeping with what Cardassians would do, I suppose.
Yeah, really, because they kind of implied that like it's the 3rd battalion of the First Order, and they're like the deadliest ones around already because like their motto is death to all. They're like, okay, so we're gonna take the worst soldiers we have and get them high, see what happens.
As far as what Norman's saying, I think what Seska did was the same thing as what Eddington did, though, where they like planted something in the computer. It's not like they're not using like the backdoor codes there. They set up a program that they could remotely access.
Yeah.
All right, we've got to keep moving though because we still have at least 3 episodes to talk about, and there's one in particular that we need to spend some time on. So, as much as I love Empok Nor, let's go back to another one where the lighting is low and things get weird in TNG called Genesis.
Yeah.
Oh, I had
Great
such
band.
this episode as a kid. The special effects makeup is so good.
Genesis is great. I loved how in the beginning Riker goes into sick bay and he's just like, it's a completely unrelated malady that he has. He's just like, I was in the Arboretum having sex and I rolled over and got like random like that. It was so random and he was just flexing his sex life for
Right.
no reason. It served nothing. There was nothing plot wise it contributed to. Nothing. He was just in sick bay. It was just the silly.
Hey, I played the game, by the way.
Well, at least
I
it
like
wasn't holodeck 4.
Little evolutionary nonsense of the creatures they all turn into and how it makes zero sense because I guess we came from spiders at some point.
Wait,
Just
you flipped them
a
off
few
on
thousand
purpose?
years ago, yeah.
There's something about Trek and evolution that they keep misunderstanding in a way that's completely unavoidable. But I mean, it makes for good TV, but it's like y'all need to like crack open a book or consult with one of your scientists because this is not what evolution's. You can't just. It's not like a tape where you can rewind it and you become another animal. Like that doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah, and Data was like convinced that Picard was going to become a marmoset.
It's also
I-
great though they can solve evolution and de-evolution with like a couple of hours in a hypospray.
I like that Spot is an iguana. That's also very good.
Right?
And Spot just changed his gender.
Reptiles one.
Because she's turned into a reptile.
We get kittens. I mean, who can not like this episode? I know there's a lot of people that do not like this episode, but it's got kittens, for God's sake.
I love this implies both that like they don't spay and neuter their pets in the future, and also
Damn it,
Well,
Bob
like,
Barker's
you have
message
that-
just ain't reaching.
One of my favorite lines in the episode was when Data was like, "I'm gonna have like there's certain male cats on the in the ship, so I'm gonna get a DNA test and figure out who it is." And it's like, this is
You are the father.
like, yeah, maybe y'all need to spay and neuter your animals. Seriously, because it sounds like none of them have.
a very stern Data shows up at the door of way to your quarters holding a basket full of kittens, like, you need to take some responsibility for your actions.
Right, because it's like, okay, so he finds out who the father cat is. Who cares? Like, what are they gonna do?
Or
No, why you did not spay your cat.
And much like a lot of episodes of TNG when things like this happen, they forgot there's like 1,000 kids on board too.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Like it's not as pressing an issue as like when they, rewrote the naked time, which even then, like I was watching it and summarizing it, I'm pretty sure an orgy will break out at some point on the ship. Did they forget there are kids on board?
Cover your eyes.
What I've got up.
Honestly, like, the scariest one to me was Deanna as the frog. I found that the most disturbing.
Like,
Oh,
Like,
yeah, that was-
she was like face down in her bathtub.
Mermaid Troy.
No, spider broccoli. That's the one that gets me. Especially, I mean, the first time I saw this, I was like, God, what, 19? I must have been 9. So the first time I saw it in first run, and it scared me when Barkley pops up.
Jerry.
I was
Jerry. Jerry.
and I was always both fascinated and freaked out by these kinds of episodes. I would say this was like up there in the Borg episodes in terms of ones that would legit give me nightmares, but that I would still get really excited to rewatch.
I wasn't so scary, but the scene when Crusher's like, Worf, there's something in your mouth.
and he spits
Starts
acid.
poking at it and just
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought her chain of decisions that she made there was so unusual because it's like, a venom sac near his mouth. How about you open your mouth like right near my face? Like that just doesn't seem wise,
The scene I have up here, I've always really liked when they leave the conference room and like Ogawa's getting up all like fists up like an orangutan or something getting up and Barkley's like leering around like a spider. I love this.
and Riker's turning into a pack lad.
I love my favorite scene was when his crew was asking him questions. He's like,
Hello.
tell him we're not done yet. I relate to that so hard.
Tell him I gave him the finger.
Seriously.
If he I watched this and I forgot about this scene where he's like in the captain's quarters with the fish, and I was like, if he eats that fish, I'm gonna freak out. And I'm like, why do I care?
Don't hurt Livingston.
Well, feel like Livingston would hurt him right back.
Hopefully. Everyone wants to eat that fish. The stupid Ferengi was trying to get it too in that in
Oh,
Rascals.
yeah.
Wouldn't you think
Venomous.
the fish would have transformed also into something? What does the fish
Maybe
transform into?
self-contained
To any-
environment?
Knowing,
It's just chilling, right?
I mean,
I think it's sealed off.
Oh, that's fair.
What if
Yeah.
what if Livingston de-evolved but got like super intelligent and saved the ship?
No,
that
that I
sounds like
want.
the great lowered X plot.
I do wish
Ah.
we got more of Picard as a lemur. I wish we got that further along because we just get a little bit of
Just
like,
growing fur, his
I'm a little
arms,
freaked out.
They should have just replaced him with Zaboomafoo if anyone gets that reference.
Yeah.
Patrick Stewart could be doing Shakespeare, but like with like monkey. I mean, if we can do whichever Shakespeare was in the original Klingon,
All of them.
Hamlet.
it was Macbeth.
Macbeth.
Yeah.
Because on the Star Trek 6 disc on the Blu-ray, the bonus features have somebody that did the gravedigger scene from that as like Klingon makeup and translated it, and the actors did it in the original Klingon, and that's something to watch.
Of course.
I don't think I've seen that.
I wish there was more, and maybe this is just, me, but I wish there was more of the episode spent on like, wow, what the fuck just happened? Like Barclay is characterized throughout this episode as being neurotic and just being upset about nothing. But and then Deanna's like, oh, I gotta clear my calendar after this, and it's like, yeah, because it's fucked up to turn into a spider. It's fucked up. Like it's really downplaying. Oh, and also like Deanna and Worf attacking Deanna. Like, hey, maybe we need to process a little bit of that. Like, that was a little painful.
One, there's just
Whatever.
the dead dude on the bridge too, so it's not like everyone was okay.
It kind of reminded me of typical couple arguments of like, I want the temperature higher. No, I want the temperature lower. Like arguing over the thermostat kind of thing.
Mhm.
So do episodes like this and similar things in Voyager just, do you always need at least one artificial crew member to solve problems whenever you evolve or de-evolve or something? I feel like that needs to be standard
That
procedure.
tracks.
That's a pretty good case for it, yeah.
I think what happened in Threshold was that the hologram happened to be a doctor, and also there was like poisonous gas that Paris needed in order to breathe. So like
Farts.
yeah.
And not drugs.
And
Well, yeah.
that's why. But with this, there was actually like a virus throughout the ship that like necessitated. And I think Braga, like Norman brought up, that Brandon Braga is the one with the weird understanding of evolution. And when he does things like this, he kind of paints himself into a corner where you have to have somebody, a hologram or a robot, be the person that saves the day. Because they're the only one without DNA to mess with.
Or
Until
change-
Picard season 1, when Data did have DNA because they cloned
Right.
him.
Dayton A.
But
Well,
picture
you know,
this: Threshold, but Amelia Earhart.
But like, would that mean the
I get it.
the
Because
salamander?
like they get back to Earth at the end, they have to explain to Starfleet Command. Yeah, we found Amelia Earhart, and then she became a salamander.
we left her on this planet with her kids.
It's fine.
Oh, that episode just got so much better. Oh.
All right, so let's take it back to Vanessa said that I don't know, somebody can save something, and then I lost my train of thought because you derailed me with that Amelia Earhart joke. But you know what? Kirk can save the devil in the magics of Magus 2 in the ever so wonderful animated series. I mean, I don't think this is super Halloween, but how could we not talk about one of the episodes that has the devil in it, the literal devil?
The thing is, like, in the episode, they explain that the entities are aliens that present, were characterized as evil. So it's like, who is the devil? Really, it's just someone you point at and say, this is an evil thing. That's what I think the message of this episode is, which is like a really interesting angle for like a cartoon on Star Trek to take. I wish this was live action, and I wish this had 40 minutes, because the courtroom procedural didn't have time to really like go in defense of the devil as much as we wanted, or as much as I wanted.
Right.
It definitely feels like someone had this on the brain when they were coming up with Star Trek V, at least parts of it.
Okay.
But it's more of a weird experience. You know, they go to the center of the galaxy. There's a weird planet there with a godlike being that doesn't turn out to be necessarily benevolent.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. Every time we go to the center of the galaxy, something else weird happens. And we learn a little bit more about these godlike things.
I do love
are these all silent? What did they call themselves in the Nth Degree?
Oh,
Cytherians.
Giant floating head guy,
yeah. So is this just an extension of them? Are they all the same race? Are there just a bunch of different god races that hang out in the middle of the galaxy?
Could be.
Although
it was nice to see Spock do a pentagram and then start learning magic. That was a little unexpected.
It was just like conforming energy to their will, and they were using things like telekinesis or something.
Telekinesis.
I thought it was interesting that they took all these sort of like known entities like Asmodeus or Lucifer or something, and they talked about the narrative of like, hey, we used to be on Earth and we used to like help people out, but you know, that didn't last long because we were sort of like kicked out because we were thought to be evil, so we had to find refuge. I actually find that to be pretty in line with history. So it's like interesting that they chose like another dimension to seek refuge in.
Well,
Archer basically just said, you know, I own this planet, and you know, you have to pay me back for like a really long time. I don't know how, like, I don't remember it being quite as interesting to me, because it was much more transactional.
Yeah, she was a good character, but she was more of an opportunist that was using technology as like a fraud or a front.
Yeah, I mean,
at least that's what we're led to believe.
It's a rewritten Star Trek Phase 2 script from the 70s, so I mean,
sure.
It had a lot of work to try to get it to work, and I get why a lot of people don't like it, but that's one of those ones that I find enjoyable, even though it's just a grift.
I found it like tonally lopsided. Like they didn't make it as goofy as they should have. That would push it further into like a Halloween episode or something. Same with Cat's Paw that we'll talk about later. Like I feel like they took it the stupid premise too seriously.
But yeah, as far as the Magic's Magus 2 here, my takeaway is almost like it's a like the devil is supposed to represent like science or maybe even science fiction as a genre, and like it's being put on trial and Kirk's standing up for it, and really the devil isn't that bad of a guy. Once you get to know the science, it's not so bad, you Christian pilgrims or something. That's the best I got because it's, to me, it's as coherent as most of TAS. It's like they tried to tackle something big and they got halfway there and then
Yeah, 'cause I saw it as like the defense of the devil itself. Because all Kirk knows is that this being just helped him out, and he was willing to defend that because that's what he was on trial for. So it's like the devil originally got kicked out of heaven because all he did was question God or whatever, and now all he did was help Kirk out by saying, "Hey, don't do magic and attract attention." So really, it's Kirk's fault that Lucifer is in hot water. So I thought it was trying for something theological, but it's only 20 minutes and it couldn't do the thing that it needed to.
Mm-hmm.
all right.
I just really like the idea of demons being misunderstood aliens.
And I always love the trope of Spock just knowing everything about like the Bible and Earth history and religion compared to everyone else on the crew who had no idea.
Yeah, it's interesting how Earth's like people, residents of Earth, have like forget everything from the past 100 years. Like history is just not emphasized. It's not that important.
All right, let's not spend more time than the runtime of this actual episode because we're already past an hour and we have one more episode to talk about, and it directly even references itself into Halloween, and that is Cat's Paw.
Classic Trek.
Well, that's one way to put it. Anybody that's seen my channel for any length of time knows that this is one of my least favorite episodes of Star Trek ever. I don't think it's good Halloween. I don't think it's good Star Trek. I mean, I don't know how you take three of my favorite things, a D&D wizard, Star Trek, and cats, and you fuck it up as bad as this episode does.
I think the worst crime it commits is that it's boring.
Felt like half of a watered down Squire of Gothos.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I really like Squire Gothos as far as
It's the much
Trek
superior
TOS
episode.
goes.
I mean, it's less Halloween, but
It kind of reminded me of Plato's Stepchildren, in that they were sort of cooped up in one room and then taken to another room, and they're just arbitrarily shuffled between two sets. No real rhyme or reason or like danger. Like their ship is sort of in danger. It's like Plato's Stepchildren, but make it spooky to me.
Yeah, I count as far as like boredom and just lack of sets. I actually counted the fog scene, and it was exactly 7 minutes where they're just wandering through the fog, and there's no point or purpose to this other than filling runtime.
But they did say that, why is there fog here? It's dry. There shouldn't be fog. Like, that was important.
It's magic.
and of course Kirk got the upper hand by making out with a newly formed woman with no fire in his mind. You're using me, Captain. How dare you?
The thing that pissed me off the most was, like, you remember that Enterprise little charm that she holds over his mouth?
Oh, yeah.
And she hands it to Kirk, and he immediately puts it down. And it's like, why not pocket it and run away? Like, you know, that thing obviously has some influence over the safety of the ship. Why would you just hand it back to them?
Yeah, and yet another thing I had noticed this time watching it was they seem to be legitimately scared of the phaser, but they're like, you know, and she's doing the thing with the Enterprise and the candle, but if they just shoot her with the friggin' phaser and then she drops the thing, then the Enterprise is fine, so just shoot her with the damn phaser. I'm so
opportunities.
Lost.
There's so many opportunities where this could have just ended mercifully, and it doesn't.
Yeah.
It sure does not.
What about
I
the
mean,
Kirk v. Sulu v. Scotty fight?
Yeah, that might be the worst fight in TOS. It's just it comes out of nowhere and it just is it's more filler, it feels like.
I also hate that they made them silent. That like they were so trying to go for this like automaton thing. Spock's brain is much more watchable. Well,
Yeah,
he's
yep,
the only one.
yep,
He's
I agree.
the only non-speaking character in that episode, so I agree.
Yeah, I mean, right from the get-go, you've got in the pre-credit intro, you've got the crewman that beams back aboard and he's dead, but we're
And he starts
talking in Captain Kirk, and then you got these freaking witches or whatever doing the same thing, Captain Kirk. And I can't. I cannot. My brain just stops. And
Like-
we're only minutes into the episode.
Like with a lot of Trek, it's like with sort of mediocre Trek, sometimes there's ways you can sort of adjust things and like, oh, I think I can fix this. But with this, I don't think I can. I really don't. There's
I
not.
bet credits to Davy Beans you cannot.
Mhm.
I want to see the episode where Kirk tells him like, what did you think you were doing up there? Like, why did you feel like you were captain of the ship? I mean, you were taking over the post, but it's not for you to like go gung ho and ram into a force field. Like that's not really. Were they just dying to make stakes because the rest of it's so boring? I don't.
Well, then Korab says right at the end, oh, they would have escaped on their own anyway. I like how Memory Alpha has an entry for Navy beans now.
Oh my god.
You're a type of bean native to Earth in 2267.
Does it say how many credits
Lovely.
they cost? Because I just find it really
Is there an
odd.
exchange rate?
Yeah, it doesn't have an exchange rate. I'm upset. Lower Decks, season 5, rectify this.
How
know you're
many
finished,
credits do equal an AV bean? I mean,
It's going to be just.
inquiring minds want to know.
Like, so I asked him, how many credits do equal a certain amount of Navy beans?
I mean,
So
the
here's the-
Ferengi should be all over this.
Best question that I think Scott had come up with for this episode. Which is worse?
Oh.
Chekhov's hair or the bird puppets? This is a tough one.
It doesn't have the excuse of the technical limitations of the 60s, or maybe it does.
Well, in the episodes that are on streaming, and I think most DVD releases, they've edited out the fishing line that held up those little aliens.
Come on.
But
That's the best part.
yeah, I like to like put those things together. It's disgusting. Like it's like it looks like fishing lure and blue fluff and crab legs. Like it's gross.
Somebody had 15 cents to go to the local craft store, and that's what they came back with.
Kirk is like, I was gonna have sex with her.
Yeah. And I like how someone mentions maybe we should preserve them, and they just stand there while they're slowly dying. It's cool.
And they just fade away. It's like this is what I wanted the episode to do so long ago. But like Chekhov's hair is pretty bad. It's super thick. It doesn't fit his head. That hairline does not look right. And like when the ship is getting overheated, it's like it looks like, dude, just take off the wig. But you
I feel
know,
better.
I have a really hard time choosing because this wig is so bad. And it's
What if they
only
made the
because
aliens out of his wig?
that would probably be an improvement somehow. I don't know. Oh, probably the puppets, because this was like a stopgap measure. This was his first episode filmed. It wasn't the first episode released, but the first one shot. And they really wanted expect Chekhov to have that Davy Jones hair of the day.
Yeah.
So it's bad, but there's at least a reason, because his hair wasn't quite to the length that he needed. Fine. I'm gonna pick the hair. I guess the bird puppets are worse.
Agreed. I just think it's like it's chintzy and hideous in a way that like there's other sort of like slapdash made aliens, like that one dog wearing
Shag rug and a horn.
yeah, and like the Horta is just some dude in a blanket or something. But like this just looks like they didn't even try.
Yeah, the hair is, eventually redeemed. He gets, I mean, he grows his hair out and they style it right, so he didn't have to use the wig. But they didn't give him a chance to redeem the puppets, so yeah.
It does feel like they just like came to the end of the episode. We ran out of money and ideas. Here's some stuff we had laying around from various cut pieces in the prop department, and we glued them together. And here we're gonna shoot this at 10 frames a second. We'll even save money on film.
Like a panic in the writers' room.
Like, I think this is up there effects wise with the giant cat. Like they
Oh my god!
I thought that was.
I mean, I love it, but I literally died laughing this last time that I was watching it. Every time they show the cat from like behind a cut door frame or whatever, or they've got the set that's like cat size of it and it's running through it, and I cannot even.
Like I really wanted like a boom mic with like a giant furry paw on it, like go all the way, like make it dumber if you're gonna do this. Like it just felt like they were trying to make it like somewhat serious, which was such a mistake.
Those stars special effects, like the actual effects, I don't know which is worse, this or the alternate factor from season 1 of TOS. But Lazarus, that's those are bad effects. And this is
at
bad.
Least you could
like,
make a drinking game
stuff.
of that.
That's true.
I guess I'll give this episode one piece of credit. When she was changing forms to appeal to Kirk, she didn't turn into Aura or something.
Okay.
Fair point.
Fair. I mean, that's a pretty low bar.
I feel like they've done that before. They would have done it in another episode. Didn't they do that with Janice Rand at one point? Oh no, I'm thinking of the original pilot. When what's her name? Vina turned into someone on his crew.
Yep.
Yep.
The salt monster.
And then they brought Una and Yauman redhead there down.
Yeah.
Like, here you get women to choose from. All right. So before we get out of here, 2 final questions. Which is the best episode we've talked about in this Halloween block? I'm going with Empok Nor.
Same.
It's definitely up there.
Seconded or thirded, I guess. Fourth, I don't know.
Quadded.
I'm being controversial. The Haunting of Deck 12.
No, that's fair. I went into this
They're
thinking that
good.
was going to be it.
I think they're 2 different flavors. So, I mean, I don't think they're really in much competition with each other for the type of horror they are.
I guess like one way of looking at it is like as far as like my favorite episode, Empok Nor, but The Haunting of Deck 12 probably more Halloween-y, like a good Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like overall, Empok Nor is the winner. So who's the loser? And tell me why it's anything besides Cat's Paw.
Not.
I got that.
What's funny is today I got an article that the Enterprise charm that was in like the little plexiglass block or something is in some sort of museum or something.
Yeah,
like a NASA museum.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah,
with
I
a
thought it was
piece
in
of
the
V'ger.
Smithsonian.
Is it? It might be the Smithsonian. It's like just that and V'ger are like the 2 big pieces.
Well,
they
it's
kept
not
from
like
Star
they were
Trek.
going to keep the puppets.
No.
Oh, I
Yeah,
bet.
I don't
bet
think they
somebody.
survived the shoot.
Somebody kept the puppets. Yeah.
What's
I
left
was
of
gonna
them?
say,
yeah.
like, if there was anything left of them, guaranteed those got auctioned off somewhere. Somebody paid too much money for those little tassel rag pieces.
Does anyone have Chekhov's hair?
That's the better question.
Or those turtlenecks that those witches are wearing. Like they're supposed to appear like disembodied heads, but they lit them too brightly from underneath. So it's like you
Yeah.
see their black shirts and it ruins the whole thing. And they just left it in. Didn't
The
feel
whole
like
thing
changing
ruined
it.
the whole thing.
Yeah.
I was specifically referring to the effect, but
I got it.
Yeah. But this is not a good episode. It drags on and it's just terrible.
I will give it one more point. Spock used the word alacrity.
Yeah, I learned that word from this episode. I can safely say that. I learned a thing. That's good. It's at least the opposite of bad.
Vocab extension. I mean, I would say that could apply to many other episodes. I don't know if that alone saves it.
Oh, I'm not trying to save it.
No.
Just trying to find the meaning, the diamonds in the rough.
I'm
It
trying
is
to
very
grab
rough.
one thing to keep with me when it sinks underneath the lava. What about the whole idea of racial memory? That was apparently the whole crux of this
Oh
thing.
my god. What was that?
I
What
don't
was that?
understand,
It's
to
such
be
a-
honest.
Like I think they were talking about maybe like collective unconscious, but for some weird reason, Spock characterized it as racial memory. Was he talking about the human race? Like, what is he talking about?
Maybe.
I don't get it. Are we talking about like how the Assassin's Creed universe works and like DNA contains your ancestors' memories and stuff, or
Like,
what?
I wonder if there was some sort of Jungian angle to this whole thing that they just didn't bother with because the episode sucks anyway. So it's like introducing another philosophical thing in an episode that already sucks is just not going to help.
All right. Anything else we want to say about Halloween before we get out of here?
Boo.
Who?
Is this the only episode that actually mentions the word Halloween?
I think it's the only one in our in this thing. But as you saw in the intro that I made, the word Halloween is mentioned, I think 4 times.
Yeah, and they kept not wanting to explain it to Spock. Like they just decided against explaining what Halloween is or trick or treat. They kept calling it trick or treat first, and it's
Halloween-
like we're not going to tell you.
Halloween does get mentioned in the Strange New Worlds crossover episode, right? When they talk about Boimler's Halloween costume.
Yep, he was Pike.
Oh,
that was
okay,
one of them. And the other 2 was also Mariner when she's fighting herself in Crisis Point, and she's like, I know that you always were Toby the Targ every Halloween, even when you were too old to be. And then there's a double reference in The Big Goodbye when the first time Picard goes into Dixon Hill's office, and he's like, "Oh, it's a Halloween," or the chick that he's talking to is like, "Oh, well, you're ready for Halloween," and he's like, "Halloween." That's all the references to Halloween in Star Trek, but this is the only one in our block here that's like a Halloween type episode that mentions it.
Like I would honestly classify Sub Rosa as a Halloween episode, even though it doesn't really mention it, because ghosts, right?
Yeah, if we don't have a thing, well, no, because we'll probably be. I was going to say like next year. I've saved some for like, oh well, maybe we'll do this again next year if there's no live Trek. But I think Night Terrors for TNG would end up coming in before Sub Rosa. But that could totally be a thing. Nana's dead. All right. Yeah, on that note, we are like way over. So next week we have got Lower Decks. We've got two episodes of Lower Decks to talk about. I assume we'll probably be here another hour and a half, at least for that. I
Better.
can't wait to pick apart all the Easter eggs and find out whether Tendi comes back right away or if it'll be a few episodes in. I hope we get something about Chur Olivia, Ransom's churro wife. We haven't had enough about that. We haven't heard about her in a really long time. That's a thing. Yeah, okay, before we get out of here, what's the one thing you need out of Lower Decks for this coming season?
Oh shit.
Well,
too
the one
hard.
thing I think I'm getting is Enterprise stuff, but it seems like they actually are doing that.
Yeah.
I just want to see Mariner's character continue to grow. This is going to be their final season, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So it's
Yeah.
promoted finally. Let's see her do something other than just be an X Factor.
I need Rutherford and Tendi to finally get together.
Yes.
Should they go
Will
back to Parth's?
I kind of dig that they're just friends personally, but I'm for it.
I'm fine with that dynamic as well, but they're just so cute, and there's definitely something there. And like
Mhm.
Mariner and Boimler seem to be in the just friends section, so I'm fine with like
Yeah.
the two pairs getting together.
I am really glad that it looks like we're finally going to get some more like closure or maybe a new version of the Mariner Jen thing.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Looks like there's going to be
Finally.
some of that.
Wait, did you actually break up?
All right. Well, that's this Thursday, double episode. Then next Monday, we will be back to talk about that. So, till then, I'd like to thank my panel here for coming and talking about Halloween and for all of you that tuned in. So, until next time.